No. Wait, there's a lot of anger in her.
Hi, Hardin. Thank you, Hardin. Okay, somebody's got their something's in the background on. All right. Hardin, you're being Melissa, right? Hi, Ty. Hi, John. Hi, Barb.
Hi.
Okay, so we should be good. Kevin's trying to get in right now. And Hardin has made me host. Sabine from the floor that wanted to zoom in tonight, so that's good. And we are good to go.
Sound like an
I'll
airport.
drop off a gift card for Luxin tomorrow.
Sound like an airline pilot there. Everybody just drop themselves
Sorry,
in.
John?
You sound like an airline pilot. Everybody ready to go? Okay, here we go. How many people are coming to Gutsy? Do you have any idea?
No, and they want somebody to do an interview, but I haven't heard anything more. There's all new people running Gutsy. Within their, like, there's some of them are the same, but there's new sort of director people, so I'm not sure. I guess I will check on more of that
We'll see you there.
by about Wednesday, maybe, or Thursday, I'll know.
Yeah.
All right, Kev's on now. So we should be good to go. Kev's going to introduce Luxin. Barb is going to be our timekeeper. Ashley and I will get on with monitoring the chat. I think we're good. Hi, Pamela.
Hi. Brenda, who's going to ask people to put their questions forward?
So John,
if they have questions?
you're coming for the walk for sure, right? So sorry, Barb.
Who's going to invite people to ask questions?
There we go, man.
I guess, Kev, are you okay just saying that after Luxin speaks that we'll take questions? People can, hi, love, thanks for coming. People can raise their hand. That makes sense? Okay. Just if people have a question, it'll be 5 minutes for their question and their answer.
Okay, who's doing that? Sorry,
yeah,
John's doing that?
Barb is going to time.
Okay.
Okay. And then for intro, same thing, like 5 minutes and that, but we don't want Luxin here all night. Hi, Mal.
Hey.
Okay, hi, Ashley.
And what time, Brenda, what time do you want to end?
Luxin, how long is your talk? About 20 minutes, half an hour?
No, probably less than that.
Okay. All right.
Like
so
15
you want to
minutes.
do like 20 minutes of questions, hon?
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah. Actually,
okay. And then so Barb
questions.
is. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more questions. I went to a nursing talk on biosimilars on Thursday, and I was just like, "Oh my God, there's so many now."
Yeah. Okay, you help me
talked
answer
about
questions,
the switches from Alberta and BC.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I thank you guys all for being here, and we will have our next one the end of September, where I hope we can be in a hybrid format.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
There's Wendy.
Gonna still be home though. Hi, Wendy. You'll be home unless you're down here for a reason.
Could be. Could be down there for a meeting.
Yeah, you could. Or going to see Irving for our Caribbean food.
Brenda, can you allow me to share screen?
Okay, so it's 6:50. Yeah. All right. Everybody's good. So I guess you've got, Kev, you've got Luxin's bio there that she wrote. I sent it to you.
I do.
Yep, you're good. Prepared.
Brenda?
I got no worries. Yep.
Brenda, can you allow me to share screen?
Tissa Brand. Yeah. That work? Do you want, why, is that working for you?
No, it doesn't allow me because I think I'm a participant right now. I think you might have to
Oh,
give
shit.
me privilege
Okay.
to.
Tylene, how do I do this?
Can you make me a co-host? Is that an
Yeah, okay.
option?
How do I do that? Okay, let me just,
If you're-
pardon, how do I do that?
If you're the host, Bren, you can promote her to co-host. It should be under your more button, or like you see the admin options more than we do. We can't walk you through it.
Pardon, can you do that?
If Hardin's the host, then he can promote Luxin to co-host. And anyone else who's doing moderation
Because I
likely to be.
can't
as well.
see a admin button here. Oh, who can start collaboration? All participants?
It would be foolish.
Like if you show your, if you
Sorry,
click on
guys.
participants,
Let me
you
just
should be able
test
to promote her to a co-host. Like Melissa's down as a host, so that's Hardin. You're a co-host. So right next to Luxin's name, you can click on next to her name. Like if you click on participants, you'll see all the list of us so far. And then click on her name with 3 dots and you can promote her. You'll see different than we have. You should be able to promote her.
Share screen options?
Go to Bunny Alley. Omar?
I really feel like I'm being something. I'm starting to feel.
You don't have to do it.
We're not muted, eh?
Share screen options. Screen simultaneous?
We're supposed to get married next week, but right
Yeah,
now,
I think it works now. I can share screen now. Yep. Thank you.
And you'll want to mute all the participants as well, whoever the host is, and just have your, so Luxin could just speak.
You're fighting like this before the wedding. There's no way. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think you guys should pull off the
Can you
visit.
try now? Lucien, try now?
The vision is so good, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't it make you want to take a vacation?
Okay, whoever's got their background music on, can we mute it? Okay, all right. Okay, Kev, it's 7. Do you want to give it a try?
And there we go. I'm unmuted. Hi, everyone. Glad everyone could join us tonight on Zoom. Tonight, the topic is biosimilars, what we need to know going forward. We're very fortunate to have Luxin Yi with us tonight. Luxin graduated from the U of T Faculty of Pharmacy in 2007. She practiced as a clinical pharmacist at Hamilton Health Sciences from 2007 to 2009, devoting her time to inpatient hematology. Since 2009, Luxin practices at Mount Sinai Hospital on 14 South as our inpatient GI general surgery pharmacist. Luxin is also involved in precepting and teaching student pharmacists and pharmacy residents. So we're very fortunate to have Luxin here with us this evening. And at the end of our session, we'll have our participants muted until the talk is over. And then we'll have a 5-minute per question and answer session for each person. Put your camera on, we encourage that, and let's get started. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to join you guys tonight. You guys see the share screen, okay, right? Okay, so yeah, today I wanted to talk about something that's very relevant to my practice and also something that's very relevant to what's happening right now in terms of the coverage for having to switch over to biosimilars. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of interest and a lot of questions about this topic. So I wanted to just briefly go through a little bit of like what are biologics, what are biosimilars, and then and then open up and let you guys have some questions and answers. Yeah, so thanks, Kevin, for introducing me. So I am a pharmacist. I have been a clinical pharmacist at Sinai on 14 South since 2009. So it's been many years, and I love being a pharmacist. And 14 South, the general surgery and GI patient population is an area that I'm very interested in, and I continue to find myself learning new things about the diseases and about the patients every day. So I'm still very passionate about this area. What my day-to-day work look like is I do medication histories on newly admitted new inpatients, and then I go through their inpatient orders and make sure that the inpatient orders are appropriately ordered, and it's the right medications, and it's the safest medication given at the right way, like the route, and it's the most proper formulation. And while we wanted to minimize the side effects that the medications bring on, and also I deal with a lot of like drug information questions, drug interaction questions. I spent time with patients, talking to patients and about medications, about what they're on, counseling them, giving them a bit more information about what they're on and how to optimize everything that they're on. Yep, so that's a little bit about myself. And today, the agenda for today, I wanted to go over what are biologics, what are biosimilars, are they really the same? If patients, you are asked to switch, like, do you really have to switch and why? And then open up to questions. Hopefully I can answer them. If I cannot answer them, I'm sure Brenda will help you, right? Okay, so
I'm learning too.
It's going to be fun tonight. Okay, what are biologics? So we're talking about biologics. It's a type of medications that we describe that are made from living cells. So we're talking about animal cells, bacteria, yeast. So these are living cells that are used to make up this protein, this big complicated protein called biologics. They use biotechnology. It's a larger and it's a more complex molecule. So that's why we see them in the forms of injections, like underneath the skin injections or IV infusions, just because they're so complex and they're so large that they don't survive if we take them by mouth, and then our stomach acid would just kill them. So that's why the biologics are very delicate injections or IV infusions. And then they're used to treat a variety of conditions such as anemia, diabetes, psoriasis, hormone deficiencies, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, and then of course to us it's the inflammatory bowel disease like the ulcerative colitis and the Crohn's diseases. And then more and more biologics are coming up in on the market. And then but just keep in mind that we're also talking about other biologics to treat other conditions. For example, like insulin, we may not think about it, but insulin is actually also a biologic. Growth hormones injections, the blood thinner injections that the low molecular weight heparin injections, antibodies, and then of course when we talk about our anti-TNF like Remicade, Humira, our anti-integrin like the Entyvio's, Stelara, and those are all biologics medications. And then when we talk about biosimilars, a biosimilar is also a biologic drug. So they're called biosimilar because they are highly similar to the original biologic medication that's already on the market. So we call those original drug the reference drug, the originator, or the brand drug, right? So Health Canada approves biosimilars based on comparing the reference, the original drug, to the biosimilar drug. When the brand reference drug, the patent has expired. So the original drug company who invented that original biologics has a certain time period of their patent protection. But after that time has lapsed, other drug companies can make a biosimilar to be marketed on the market. So we expect that they perform similarly. So there should be no clinically meaningful difference in how effective they are and how safe they are. So that's the theory behind the biosimilars. So the question is, are they the same? Like if we're talking about like we're used to having, let's say, a brand name medication, for example, Tylenol, right? Tylenol tablets, because that's a brand. The Tylenol brand is the original company that made up the acetaminophen. And then now there's generic medications such as the Rexall brand, and then there's the Shoppers Life brand, there's the Apotex brand, right? So we're used to generic medications that's like by mouth, like a tablets or capsule by mouth. So remember that biologics are not the same as oral medications, because like oral medications like Tylenol, they're smaller molecules. So a different company is able to make the same active ingredient so that they are the same molecule, essentially. Maybe their fillers are different, like what they use to pack the tablets may be different, but the active ingredient is identical. So those are generics. But when we talk about biologics, because remember we said that the molecules are huge, it's like a complex, very complicated protein structure that's made from living cells. So biosimilars, the structures itself can be called highly similar, but not identical. So that's why the name biosimilar is meaning that they're highly similar, but not exactly the same. Essentially, a different pharmaceutical company who use a different type of cell line to make a biosimilar cannot duplicate the exact same complex protein. So that's why it's not possible. Naturally, it's not possible to make an exact same protein. But we expect that the biosimilar would work the same way. We expect that they would have the same result and have the same side effects because their target is the same. For example, Remicade targets anti-TNF, whereas like another brand of infliximab biosimilar targets the same TNF. So if the brand originator drug was working, then in theory, the biosimilar should be working. If the brand was not working, then the biosimilar would not be working as well. So we expect the results to be very similar. And then when we look at the evidence of switching between a brand to a biosimilar, or switching from a biosimilar brand to a different biosimilar brand, most of the evidence tell us that there's no significant difference in how effective they are and how safe they are. And then in terms of immunogenicity is just a word meaning how our body reacts to the drug. Like, because remember we're talking about like not 100% human cells, right? That's in the molecule. Our body has a chance to could be making antibodies against the drug to make it not work as well. So, but in terms of when they compare the immunogenicity between biosimilars, there's no huge difference. So yeah, essentially they're not the same, but they are similar enough that they should have the same results. So the question comes to, do I have to switch, right? Like, of course, if we have the choice, we prefer to keep the same, right? Like, why would I change if I don't have to, right? So it really depends on the coverage. It depends whether you have ODB, like Ontario Drug Benefits coverage, or same as Trillium, which is also the provincial Ontario Drug Benefits. If your current biologics, for example, I think we're talking about Remicade and Humira because these are the two biologics that have biosimilars right now. Like for example, the Interview doesn't have a biosimilar yet. Stelara, Symphony, they don't have biosimilars available on the market yet, right? So right now we're mostly talking about Humira and Remicade. If your Humira and Remicade are funded by Ontario Drug Benefits, as of March 31st this year, the announcement, the policy is
Sorry,
saying,
Luxin, if everybody can just mute right now if you're calling in from your phone, because we're picking up vibrations from someone's call. Thank you. Sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, so if the Humira or Remicade is funded through ODB, it's saying that we have until December 29th of this year to transition, because after December 29th, basically the coverage for the originator biologic, for example, Humira brand, Remicade brand, will end. Basically, Ontario Drug Benefits will no longer fund the brand Humira and the brand Remicade. So basically it's saying that the patients who are funded by ODB or Trillium have to transition to a biosimilar because the biosimilar drugs will be covered as of like right now. There are like people would ask like, oh, can I apply for exemptions because I don't do well. Okay. Sorry, I don't know when I was muted. Yeah, so basically there's the option to apply for exemptions, but I think they make it pretty hard. Yeah, I think the option to apply for exemptions are there, but I think they make it a case-by-case review that they need people to trial and fail and have trouble with at least 2 biosimilars before they would approve the request. So the option is there to apply for exemptions, but I think they would make it pretty hard to they try not to have those exemptions, right? They basically encourage people to try to transition. And then it's pretty strict to be able to make it to the exemptions approval. But remember that biosimilars are also made by companies like big pharma companies like Pfizer, like Merck. So they're like the companies who make the biosimilars are not inferior to like the originator drug company. So, and just to know that how we had the patient support programs for Humira and Remicade, the biosimilar companies also have those patient support programs in place. So it will run similarly to your previous patient support programs, except that it's just a different company running it. You might get a different coordinator, but the way they run these patient support programs are very similar. And then with, I forgot to mention one thing is that with the newer formulations of the biosimilars, some of them actually do have a little bit of advantage over the originator. For example, let's say the Humira injections, the newer Humira, the newer biosimilar adalimumab injections, they say that they're citrate-free, so the injection is less painful, and also they make it in a higher concentration so that it's actually a smaller volume to inject. So the discomfort of the injection at the injection site is in theory a little bit better with the newer biosimilar formulations that they say it's citrate-free and it's a higher concentration. And then if you ask, oh, what if I have a private drug plan? Like, how does that play? Like, do I have to switch? I think it depends. So right now, private drug plans, it really depends on your private drug plan. You might have to reach out to your program to find out. Some private drug plans may still cover the brand, but I think a lot of the private drug plans follow the route of the provincial, the publicly funded program. So they might still cover right now, but then down the road, I don't know whether, and they won't guarantee that they will always cover, right? So things could change down the road. So for now, it's the publicly funded, like the Ontario Drug Benefits patients that need to transition. But the private drug plan, things might change down the road. So it really depends on your private drug plan, whether they will continue to cover the brand or you also have to transition. Yes, and then, yeah, so I think that's all I have in terms of presenting to you guys. I think it will be more valuable to have you guys ask questions because this transitioning to biosimilar is very new to Ontario. But like Brenda said, the Alberta and BC provinces have done this a few years ahead of us. So in terms of real life experience, I think the West End has a lot more experience that we can look at. And then in terms of how the actual real life experience is with the patients actually transitioning from brand to biosimilar, as now more and more biosimilars are on the market, I think we will be able to know pretty soon if there's alarming safety concerns or if there's like red flags about the switch. We would have known by now, especially looking at the BC and the Alberta provinces. Yeah, this is very new because it only started end of March and then it's still happening, and then the official coverage doesn't end until end of this year, right? So in terms of how the transition is happening, we have 9 months to do it. It needs to be a discussion between the patient and like yourself and your GI prescriber, your GI doctor, because the biosimilars are not interchangeable. Like the pharmacist or the clinic cannot just change your prescription from one brand to another brand. So it needs to be a new prescription written. So that's why the discussion needs to happen between you and your prescriber. And then I encourage that if you have to transition, you do it earlier than later, because we don't want everybody to be transitioning by the end of December, right? Because we might run into problems of, the clinics may be overwhelmed, and then, yeah, there's a lot of things that we cannot anticipate if we leave it till last minute. So I would encourage that if we have to transition, that we do it kind of earlier than later, have the discussion earlier rather than leaving it last minute. Yeah, so that's my portion on, yeah, starting the topic.
Okay, I'm going to have people, I'm going to have Lucian answer some questions. My name is Barbara Soren. I wonder if we can go back. Should we go back to see the images of people rather than?
Yeah. Let me stop.
Rather than share a screen?
Yeah. I'm going to stop.
Okay.
The sharing.
Great, thank you. So I've been involved in Crohn's and colitis education groups for as long as they've been going, as long as Brenda's been offering them. I've had Crohn's for over 50 years, and my son has had Crohn's for over 40 years. So we have a ton of experience with medications, with the evolution of medications. As things are getting better and better and changing all the time, they really are improving our lives with IBD. So right now I'm on Stelara, and it's so far, touch wood, really good. I'm doing really well on it. My son is moving to Skyrizi, which has just been approved, and hopefully that will work well too. It's supposed to be one of the best. So there are lots of reasons to be optimistic about changes that are happening. So I think if anyone has questions, you could raise your hand or you could, yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, John.
So
That's
it's John, go ahead.
okay. I wonder if the pharmacist Luxin knows anything about how long the medications last. I hear from a lot of friends and patients who say that it lasts a certain time and then it tends to wear out and they have to change to the next one. Has there been any studies on the efficacy of the medications, how long they seem to last? Is there kind of a shelf life for people?
You're talking about like how long, like let's say after one dose, how long does
No,
it?
just in general, after taking it for months and months or even a year, let's say Remicade or Humira, how long does this actually help the patient before it starts to change? Are there been
The
any
effects
studies
of the medication,
yeah,
right? Like
and
how
the
long
timeline,
does
how
the
long
drug?
it lasts?
That's a really
It's
good
hard to say.
question, John.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. It's hard to say actually. Some people could be on the same drug, the same biologics for many, many years, and then they're in remission and it's maintaining their disease. Whereas some other people, they may not even respond to begin with, or they may not have a complete response to the drug to begin with. And it has to do with like how like the effectiveness of biologics are not like I wouldn't say it's like 100%, right? I wouldn't even say it's 80 or 90%. I think we're looking at about maybe 50 to 60% in terms of total clinical response rate. So it really depends on the person and then how the body reacts to the drug. Like for example, sometimes our body could build up antibodies against the drug to kind of bind to the drug so that the drug doesn't and can't reach its site of target. And then sometimes some people find that it works in the beginning, but then over time, they start to lose the response. So I think a lot of our GI doctors try to do things to optimize the drug to give patients the best response. We look at the levels. Sometimes we do like drug levels, we do blood work, and then we send off to a special lab to look at in your blood, what's the level of the drug, and then also if there's any antibodies in your blood. So they're trying to figure out why, if the drug is not helping, like what's the reason? If it's because the drug level is too low, right? Like we dose patients by weight or it's a fixed dose. But the drug level really tells us how much drug is actually in your body doing the job. So sometimes if we know the level, we do blood work to monitor the level. If we could increase the dose, we would increase the dose. If we needed to change the interval to be shorter than the initial on-label dosing interval, we would try to do that. So I think we try to optimize the drug to see if we could make it work before we kind of move on to the next drug. But in terms of how long it will, if let's say it was working and then how long that it will stay working for you, it's hard to say. It's a $1 million question that nobody knows and nobody can kind of predict. It also depends on how bad is the disease, right? How bad is it? Yeah, and it's all yeah, it's hard to say. Everyone is different. The same drug, different patient, they respond differently. Yeah, so I don't know how to answer that question in terms of how long it works. We basically keep going. If it's working, we keep going until it's not working anymore, and then we try to optimize, and then yeah.
Listen, something similar that I've wondered is the effectiveness of the drugs age-related? So when I went on, for instance, my current drug, I was already over 70. And I asked my IBD specialist, is that a problem? How long do people stay on these drugs? And are they still effective as you get over 75 and 80? Are there any studies on that?
Yeah, I don't think it's age related. But I think sometimes the GI doctors pick the drug based on age, right? Like based on in terms of safety concerns, right?
Safety.
Like yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's more so choosing a drug that's the most appropriate for the age instead of the other way around, like looking at whether a drug works differently in someone who's in their 20s versus 30s versus 40s. And yeah, it's hard too because the peak of our IBD ranges from like really young, right? Teens to 20s to 30s. And then as we age, our risk factors is different, right? Like a GI doctor might pick a drug with less infection risk in an older patient compared to someone in their 20s, right? And they also consider like risks such as like cancer risks and like skin cancer risks. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that I think it's more the age kind of help to stratify the risks and picking a drug that's the most appropriate, where instead of like looking at, yeah, whether it's the you respond differently in different age. Yeah.
Okay. Another question? Yes. Okay. Lee. Lee, can you unmute?
Did
Great.
that work? Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
It
Thank
was,
you.
it was not letting me, so somebody had to press the button.
Nope, that's great.
Thank you. What's the path to getting to these biologics or biosimilars? Is it when you go to the drugstore and your current drugs are disallowed and you have to go to your GP, who probably won't understand much of any of this stuff, so you have to get an appointment with your GI, which could be months and months out there. What's a patient go encounter kind of feel and look like?
In terms of getting started on a biologics, right?
Yeah, is it when are we going to get the surprise when our GPs continue to write us repeats for what we're taking, and then all of a sudden we find out that it's not covered anymore by the government?
I think right now most of the biologics are prescribed by the GI specialist. Yeah, I don't believe I don't think most family doctors will feel comfortable prescribing specialized medications like Remicade, Humira. So I think to start it, you'll have to go through your GI specialist, right? And then once the discussion between you and your GI happen, and then you both decide that that's okay, go ahead with this biologic, then your GI doctor would likely just reach out to the patient support program for that particular biologic drug, and then to start the enrollment process.
Oh.
Yeah, the enrollment process means that they enroll you as a patient into their patient support program so that they can start the process of, let's say, if you have private drug plan, that they'll start the paperwork with the pre-approval process to get the coverage to happen. If you don't have any drug plan at all, they might ask you to start applying for Trillium, which is like the Ontario provincial drug plan. Yeah, so there's a process that's involved in terms of the enrollment and then getting the prescription medication order in place. And once everything is in place, the patient support program, usually you have a coordinator to work with to contact you directly. And then there's so your coordinator will kind of arrange your first dose of the medication to happen, if it's an injection or infusion, to happen in a clinic, in a special IV infusion clinic. There are many of these private clinics across the city that they specialize in doing biologics, injections, and infusions. Yeah, so you usually get it started as in the community as an outpatient. In the rare case that you get too sick, that you needed to be admitted to the hospital, we also start biologics in the hospital as an inpatient as well. Usually it happens a little faster if you if you're admitted, because it probably means that you're much sicker, right? Like that you probably couldn't wait to get it started in the community. But we do a similar process. Like we also need you to be enrolled into the patient support program first, and then because they are the ones who kind of mostly maintain and book your appointments and support you and make sure that you have access to the biologic medication. Basically, every biologics have a patient support program because of the cost that's associated with it. It's like so expensive that basically nobody can afford it, like to pay out of pocket. So they support patients by making sure they have access. They guarantee that once you start it, you continue to have access. If your drug plans ended, or if something happened to your Trillium or ODB funding, they continue to provide compassionate access to you until they secure another way of coverage. So I think
when you were
what's
talking about that ODB program, is that the exceptional access program that the government has?
the ODB program is for people over age of 65. So over 65, you're automatically in the ODB. For patients under 24, you're automatically in the OHIP Plus, which is the same program. So it's for people in between the age of 24 and 65 that you don't have drug coverage, right? Unless you have a private drug plan through work, then your private drug plan will cover your medications. So people in between age of 24 and 65, if they have high medication costs and high needs for medications, for example, these inflammatory bowel disease medications are very expensive. So in that case, then I recommend that we apply for Trillium. Trillium looks at your income. Trillium looks at your household income, and basically will have a deductible amount, roughly 4% of your household income per year. So Trillium is free to apply, as long as you have filed your income tax, and because they do look at your income tax to kind of assess what is your deductible.
Thank you. That's great. Jennifer, you have a hand up.
Thank you. I actually have a couple of questions.
Great.
One is, I believe you said, Luxin, because you were cut out when you were talking about Stelara. I thought my GI, the last time I saw him, said there was a biosimilar for Stelara. Is there one in the making, or?
Maybe in the making, because it's not, I don't think it's on the market yet. Okay. But I'm not surprised that they're in the making, because as the patent, right, expire, because they all will eventually expire, by other companies will start making biosimilars.
Okay, and then my other question is,
sorry, Jennifer, I don't think the Stelara patent expires for a while, because I'm on Stelara as well. It worried me too.
Oh,
but
good.
My understanding was that we're okay for a while. Humira and Remicade are first.
So my son's on Stelara now. He's been on it for a couple of years. Failed Humira. He started with Remicade, and Remicade worked. It was a miracle drug for about a year, and then stopped working. Right. I'm just wondering if, and I know you're not allowed to go back on Remicade once you've been on. Would that be the same as not going on the biosimilar for Remicade?
You're saying that was on Remicade, and then for some reason had to switch to Humira?
Yeah, it stopped working. The Remicade
stopped working. Okay. Yeah. So because I would treat the biosimilar really similar to the Remicade, right? So if it stopped working with the Remicade, then if we go back to a biosimilar Remicade, then we would expect the same effect.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would treat it to act very similarly to the original brand.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, my last question, Barbara, was for you. You had mentioned another medication for your son that I'd never heard of before. What
oh, it's Skyrizi. It's being promoted on TV a lot, actually, but it's also been approved in the US, and I think has it been approved in Canada, Luxin?
Yep.
Yeah, it's in Canada. Yeah.
And it's apparently really effective. So let's hope. I mean, it requires 3 infusions, I think one a month, is that right? And then you inject yourself.
Okay. Oh, thank you. It's good to hear.
Yeah, it is good. It's great that there's something new that's come out.
So we've got JD.
Talking about the government wants us to try other biosimilars and see if they work, and maybe if they don't work, they'll let us go back to the original, such as Remicade. But from my understanding is that once you stop a biologic, that you can't restart it because you will develop antibodies to it. Am I mistaken in that?
Yeah, so I think the government wants patients to transition from a brand to a biosimilar brand, right? So we're not stopping therapy. We're basically switching to a different brand.
And if
Right,
that
so I
doesn't
think-
work, and if that doesn't work, then we can't really go back to the original Remicade, I guess, in this case.
Yeah, so if it's not working, then the question is, was the original working? And then
let's
when
assume it
we
is, yes.
switch,
Yeah, assume it was working, everything's
Mhm.
fine, and then when we switch,
Mhm.
the biosimilar doesn't work,
Mhm.
and now we can't go back to Remicade, is that correct?
Well, technically you could, because remember we said that it's kind of like they act similarly, right? So you're essentially on the same drug.
Okay.
It's a different company's product, right? So
Okay.
let's say you were on Remicade and then you switch to a biosimilar, and then you find that maybe it's the side effects that you couldn't tolerate,
Yeah.
right? And then if the ODB approves your exemption, technically you could go back to the Remicade brand because you've been kind of always on the infliximab drug. It's just you were on a different brand.
I see. Do they have case studies about people who've gone back and forth and whether the original one still worked after they tried the biosimilar? Is there enough data on that?
I think they pull a lot of studies, like there are smaller studies to look at switching between brand to biosimilar, from one biosimilar to another biosimilar, right? Like they conclude that there's no difference in terms of how effective they are or in terms of side effects.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Another question, did someone just commented about being on Skyrizi? Who is that?
Pamela's on it.
Okay. And any comments about it? No. Okay. Omar.
Hey guys, good to see you all, my brother and sisters and family of the IBD world. I had a quick question in regards to Entyvio, as I'm on Entyvio. I haven't had to have this conversation, I guess, luckily, but if it's a reality for me, I guess I'll have to face it at some point. So I'm curious for other folks who are taking Entyvio if they've heard anything. Hope you guys are doing well and sending lots of my love to all of you guys.
No, listen, have you heard anything about Entyvio, a biosimilar for Entyvio? I haven't actually.
Yeah, no, but I think Entyvio is now coming. Well, Entyvio came up with the injections formulations, right? I'm not sure if you guys know. It was initially IV infusions, and then now they have the subcutaneous injections formulations. But no, they don't have a biosimilar yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but down the road they might. But I think there's coming up with strategies to change to the injection formulation, because that's like another patent that will also have their time of the patent. Yeah. But so far, no, not yet.
Because
Okay.
Entyvio has been an infusion only, so
Mhm.
it's easier if it's an injection.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Pamela, I
Yeah.
just wanted to add to Barbara's question about
Oh, good.
Skyrizi. I got put on it in January. It was just approved in December in Canada for use. And I've had my 3 loading shots. And on Wednesday, I'm going for lessons to do the self-injector because it's different from the Humira, the Stelara, and Entyvio, or still Symphony, which I've gone through all, including Remicade. So in the long list of biologics, I'm at Skyrizi.
Okay, that's great.
That's great.
That injection is supposed to be much easier. I hope it is.
It's a bit more complicated, actually. You have to hold the pen down a bit longer, apparently. I'm getting my training on Wednesday evening.
Great.
Yeah, the injector is really fancy. Like it's an eye opener. It's like a battery operated 5-minute slow injection. Yeah. Good to see you, Pamela.
Thank you, Lucid. I managed to get the Lomotil, by the way.
Yes, okay, good to know.
Luxin, how much does this stuff cost if anybody does not have insurance? I have insurance, so we'll see. But what does this stuff cost? Is this in the hundreds of dollars or?
Yeah, we're talking about each dose. For example, Remicade. Remicade, the brand Remicade is about $1,000 per 100 milligram. So it's based on weight, right? So let's say 60 kilogram patient, 5 milligram per kilogram. So we're talking about 300 milligrams. That's the usual dosing. So that would be like $3,000 plus, but that's one dose, right? And then we're talking about like a dose every like 8 weeks, right? Or induction doses like week 0, 2, and 6. Yeah, so we're talking about like thousands of dollars. And then, for example, the newest one, the Skyrizi one, I think it's easily at least 5,000 or even 7,000 one dose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why for patients who don't have any drug plan, usually the patient support program will ask you to apply for Trillium. Because most of these medications, if they're on label indications, it will be on the formulary. And also the patient support program would cover the difference. So usually patients don't have to pay anything to get access to these medications. So we've been pretty lucky to have these programs to be able to make sure that everybody who needs the drugs have the access.
Jane, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Mine's more of a comment than a question, but just in response to Lee's questions, I was on through Trillium getting my biologics covered, and my private healthcare was maxed out in the first dose. It was $2,600 a dose for what I was on at the time. But I've never paid any of it because Trillium covered everything. So it was fantastic. And as soon as I turned 65, it's all covered by the government. So I've paid nothing for these. And I'm grateful every minute of every day for that, because it's so prohibitive to be able to have to spend your own money on it. So Canada is a great place to be for that. But I have ulcerative colitis and was managed without biologics for years before it really flared badly. And I remember when my doctor said I probably would need to go on biologics, and I burst into tears thinking, oh, this is sounding too much like a chemo patient to go in and be infused every month. And he said, no, actually it's life-saving and life-altering for people with IBD. So I started on Entyvio and it worked well until I was on antibiotics for bad ear infections, 3 courses of antibiotics over 6 weeks, and it just completely wiped out the effects of Entyvio. So I went on Inflector, which is a biosimilar of Remicade. I was never on Remicade because the Inflector was cheaper, and that's what my physician decided to start me on, with great effect. It's supposed to be every 8 weeks after the loading doses, and that didn't cut it for me. So she put it to every 4 weeks. And I've been in complete remission for 4 years now. Don't take a day for granted, because I know, as someone else was asking, how long does it last? And my understanding is it's pretty patient specific. Some people might be 6 months, some might be 20 years. So I'm hoping for the rest of my life scenario. But I'm up to 6 weeks now, and I think she will put me back to every 8 weeks, because my last colonoscopy was almost clear, which just blew my mind because I was in the moderate to severe category before. with ulceration right up into the transverse colon. And the Inflectra, as far as I'm concerned, has been fantastic for me. So it is a biosimilar of Remicade, and it's been very, very effective for me. So I hope that's hopeful information for some of you who are thinking about the transition from Remicade to a biosimilar.
Great.
Yeah.
Omar, did you have another question?
Negative. I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any more hands up.
Barb, there was a question in the Zoom chat.
Oh,
Zoom
okay, go ahead.
It says, is there any animal DNA in biologics?
Animal DNA. So for example, use the example of Remicade. It's 75% humanized, and then there's a 25% of mice cells. So when in the production in the cell lines of making the final biologics product, it's not 100% human cells that they use. There's a 25% of mice cells. So that's why the potential chance of reacting, like our body reacting to the drug, just because it's not 100%. Yeah, we do use animal cells. Why mice cells? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That was how they made the first ever biologics drug in IBD, the Remicade. Not monkey, haha.
I think there's a raised hand from Stephen.
Okay.
Hi, Brenda. Thank you. I have a question on Xeljan. So Xeljan is one of the medications that I'm currently on as part of my cocktail. And my family doctor has alerted me to Health Canada and FDA reports suggesting that there's an elevated risk for cardiovascular disease along with cancer with that medication. And I wanted to get your thoughts on Xeljan, and if you thought that it was one that you could switch off, if you could potentially provide a recommendation or something similar. I've tried to eliminate Xeljan, and when I stopped, I flared immediately. So I'm hesitant to stop cold turkey again, but if there is something similar with less risks, I would love to hear. I'm also on Stelara.
Okay, so Stelara and Xeljanz as a combination. Yeah, Xeljanz is like it's a small molecule oral medication. So I call it they call this a JAK inhibitor. Is there anything better than Xeljanz? I think Rinvoq is or should be coming out of. Yeah, should be coming up soon, but before that, Xeljanz is probably the first and Xeljanz is probably the first and only oral small molecule medication for. Actually, there's a new one that came up, but in terms of side effects, they're not too different. I would say in terms of side effects, there isn't anything that's better. I mean, we have to keep in the context of the benefit of the medication, which is like keeping your disease in control, and seeing how you need it to be on like two medications, like the biologics plus an oral JAK inhibitor. And then when you come off the Xeljanz, your disease flare up. So the drug is doing its job. Sounds like it is keeping your disease in remission. And we also have to just keep in mind the risk of not being on therapy and risking a flare up of the disease. So yeah, we're very limited in terms of options, in terms of biologics or even the oral JAK inhibitors.
I think Rinvoq was just approved in the States, so we have hope that that'll be approved in Canada soon too.
Yeah, Rinvoq, we had the clinical trials, and then I think the clinical trial ended not too long ago. So, right, Brenda?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Our group
It
was,
is,
sorry.
sorry, Brenda, I'll go after you.
No, I was just saying that the GI group at Sinai were part of the study. I wasn't personally involved because I'm on the surgical side, but
So is Rinvoq also a JAK inhibitor?
Rinvoq. Hold on. Yeah, Rinvoq
it
is
is a JAK. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
JAK.
upadacitinib, so it's also a JAK inhibitor. Just so that's why they work at the same, they're targeting the same target. So in terms of the target, it's the same. So the side effects profile might be a little bit different, but seeing how it works in this using the same mechanism of action, I would expect a similar side effect profile.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's once a day, Steve. It's once a day, 15 milligrams with AbbVie. So they'll have a patient support program as well.
And it's
Okay,
also
it
it's
seems
just
odd
pills.
that if it has a similar side effect profile, and Health Canada and the FDA are speaking out against one and potentially looking to remove it out of circulation, that the same organizations would also at the same time be approving something similar.
Okay, let me dig on that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
The good thing about Rinvoq is it's pills. It's actually pills that you take every day.
Mhm.
Yeah, so is Xeljanz. It's a pill as well.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Ty, did you have a question? I thought. No?
There's a question from Lee in the chat.
Okay.
Do many people who have IBD also have interstitial cystitis? Yes, that's painful. Anybody?
Okay, Omar, one more question.
Sorry, last question. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if any other IBD folks in the call suffer from eczema. I had eczema throughout my life and it never really bothered me, but over the last couple of years, it's kind of gotten a little bit worse. I was just curious if other folks who, I know all sorts of people have eczema and it's common, but I was wondering if other IBD folks have eczema or other skin conditions that they manage at the same time.
I think
Anybody can-
psoriasis is also fairly common.
Or psoriasis from the infusions or the biologics.
Mhm.
Jennifer has a comment in the chat. Yeah, definitely frustrating.
Yeah, it's just annoying with because with IBD, it's like everything is focused on that, because it's so debilitating if you're not doing well. But then you get these other things, and then it's kind of like it's fun. It's not fun. I'm just saying it's fun. Anyways,
Maybe that's something we can look at for next year's, or from September on, when we hopefully will be in a hybrid format that we can do in person at Sinai, or not feeling great or whatever. But maybe we can see if we can get a dermatologist, because we don't have one at Sinai. We have to partner with Women's College or the Western.
Oh, that's super interesting, because I just asked my
constant sinus infection.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just asked my my GI at Mount Sinai and she gave me a referral to a dermatologist I've seen a few here and there, but ultimately you're looking for like, I'm looking for something or a routine which doesn't involve like always taking, putting the steroid cream, because that's kind of like a temporary situation. So any tips from anybody around good products, good creams, good, whatever, just hit me up. But yeah, that's a good idea, Brenda. And look forward to seeing you guys on the weekend for the Crohn's and colitis walk.
Yeah, Gutsy Walk is Sunday all across the country. Yeah, and Team Sinai's over 50 grand so far.
Great. Erin,
That's
you have a
amazing.
question?
Yeah, I just have a response to Omar. I do have I do have like psoriasis-y kind of things, but it's weird. It's like where there are joints in my skin. So like my belly button will get sore, or like where my earlobe joins my face kind of thing, like weird little spots like that, and other little joints. And a dermatologist one time called it flexural psoriasis. So it's not an overall thing. It's not patches. It's just in those weird joints. And the only thing that I have found, unfortunately, is the steroid cream to get rid of it. Anyway, that's it.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Actually, I've had very similar stuff, Erin, so it's very frustrating.
It's weird, but it's better than living with flares all the time. So
Yeah,
if
exactly.
trade-off, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Just frustrating though, because it doesn't fit in the textbook sort of scenario. That's the thing that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Luxin anymore? Any more questions for the boss here? Because we can stay chatting, but we can, if Luxin, if you want to head back to family life, that's great. We appreciate you very much, and we can't thank you enough.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me tonight.
Luxin, thank you. You've just been terrific.
You're welcome. Good night, everyone.
All right, so, okay, so, all right, the floor is open. If anyone wants to chat more, we've got time. We're not going to be cut off. So we thought if people wanted to introduce themselves, we could have like 2 minutes to kind of say what their interests are, if they had any concerns, and just go through, and I'm going to stop the recording part. How's that? Okay, sorry, just let me, I'm learning as I go. Okay, thanks, Jane. Okay, so we're good. We have stopped recording.
Hey, Brenda, I always thought it would be interesting if something was compiled. I mean, we know IBD is an immuno disease, but what are the other, I guess, major side effects or things that we can look forward to having? Like, I'm type 2 diabetic, I get rashes and stuff like that as well. And I'm just wondering if there's anything in print or available as to what people could look at and kind of go, oh, okay, that's kind of probably why I have that, or could be normal. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things we want to kind of maybe for into fall 2023 when we're planning. We're going to send you a feedback survey tomorrow morning. But everybody, if you've got ideas of speakers that you'd like, we've got 5 sessions going from September on. I'd kind of like to look at some of the extraintestinal stuff. So whether we look at psoriasis, like the skin stuff, or the joint stuff, rheumatological stuff. I think doing a hybrid is great because we could always have our speaker from afar and we could still meet in person, or we could have the person at Sinai. But I like how you say what's possibly down, looking in the mirror, what could potentially happen, or we don't want to think that way. We're not trying to be fatalists, but it's just sometimes you put it together quicker than the specialist will put it together, that why it's related. Okay. All right, and then some Zoom user has got, how's everyone coping with their IBD? What do you do to get through on the hard days, sorry. So you guys, it's your meeting. So whoever wants to start, introduce themselves and go. Omar, do you want to start?
Me? Oh, yeah. So I saw that question from what's the gentleman's name? Who asked the question?
Kevin?
Kevin?
Kevin. Yeah, I know. I didn't even know my hand was up. But I will. I thought you were just calling me because I can kind of be loud sometimes, but I can answer anyways. Yes, honey. 1 second. Yeah, I know. I would say like when you're having a tough day, it's tough, right? Because it's like, so I would say the one thing to do is to try to not catastrophize things, which is way easier said than done. I mean, you could speak to people, speak to your family, speak to a therapist, and they'll say the same thing about not catastrophizing, because people like ourselves, like our brain, as soon as like we have like a bad day, that part of our brain, which is in anxiety and is in like constant alert, is going to go straight to, oh my God, am I having a flare up? Oh my God. And it's really difficult, easier said than done, but try not to catastrophize. See if the pattern continues for a few days, a week, a couple weeks. And then of course you want to speak to the professionals, you want to speak to the GIs, try to figure out the best plan of action, speak to, get professional help, always speak to somebody, either a friend or get a counselor or a therapist. And then personally, things that help me: exercise, meditation, journaling. Those three are like my pillars. Kind of just mindfulness, stuff like that. And just try to, whatever you're passionate about. I know it's tough, but try not to catastrophize. If you can, I know it's extremely difficult, but just see if that pattern continues for like a week or so before you jump to, going to get help, which you should, obviously if you're in a real flare up, speak to your GI or whatever, I would say.
Thank you. All right, so Barb, you've introduced. So I'm Brenda. I'm the surgical research nurse for the program for the last, God knows, 30 plus years, and been doing these group things since 1992. So thank you all for hanging in on the virtual. I'm still learning. John, do you want to go?
Sure, I joined in 1999, and that was a while ago. That was after Robin McLeod did the surgery. Having had the ileostomy for 20 years, I feel kind of like an interloper. I think I've mentioned this before, where I haven't had to have any medication because surgery took care of the problem. Not that I'm recommending that for everyone. And then to have the ileoanal pouch made. But and it was 24 years ago last Thursday, so happy anniversary, whatever.
Happy anniversary to your bowel.
Yeah, to the bowel, and 50 years married this Friday, so God, we all made it.
Happy anniversary.
Somehow we all made it. I just want to say with the fundraiser for Alzheimer's that Dr. McLeod's daughter is doing. I mean, what a brave and fantastic thing to do in honor of her mom's diagnosis. I mean, here's a lady, you read about her, and just the brightest of the bright, saved my bacon literally back 24 years ago. And now with dysphagia, now the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, her daughter's going to raise $250,000. I sent $50, and I just think everybody who has been helped by her or sees potential need, I know it's not Crohn's and colitis, but look on the page and possibly.
She was my boss for 25 years.
Possibly.
Yeah, taught me everything I know about IBD.
Yeah.
Her and Dr. Cullen.
That's all I got to say. It's less about me, more about her. So.
Yeah, no, I miss her desperately. All right, Sabine.
Hi, my name is Sabine. I'm a social worker at Mount Sinai. I work on the 14th floor on 14th South. I'm fairly new to the position. I guess I joined maybe a few years ago, and then I was away on a leave for a bit, and happy to be back and happy to see everyone and have us restart again.
Okay, Mel.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Melanie. I had my first surgery in 2000, and that's when I kind of joined the support group through Brenda.
Mel,
Part of
can
the
you go? Melanie?
Yeah, can you hear me? No? Oh, you can. Sorry, I thought Brenda, you couldn't hear me. Okay, so I'm part of the steering committee group. I recently was in hospital with another blockage, and that's where I met Pamela, who's on the line here. So I'm glad to see Pamela's joining us now. And I just started Entyvio in December, so I'm learning how that's going to go. I'll turn it over then to Tylene.
Thanks, Mel. Hope everybody's doing well. I used to be involved with the group more. I started in 2000, and then I had my little one in 2011, so I started going less and less. So it's nice to be back online in this format. Great to see everybody. Who's next that hasn't gone? Kevin?
Sure, I'll go. Hi, my name's Kevin, member of the steering committee. I think I might have been at the very first support group meeting way back when. I'm going on 30 years since my first surgery. Next month will be my 20th anniversary of a permanent ileostomy. Life's amazing. The biosimilars look great for everyone. I'm such a dinosaur, they weren't even around back then. We only had steroids and immunosuppressants and lots of antibiotics. Anyway, life's great, everything's fantastic, and every day I'm thankful for what I have.
And I'm Wendy. I'm Kevin's support.
Pam? Pam, do you want to talk?
Me? Pamela
Yeah.
or Pam? Oh,
Pamela,
sorry.
yeah. That's
I
okay.
don't know where to start. Really don't know where to start. I've had Crohn's for 27 years. I've gone through all the biologics and I'm Skyrizi now. I just got out of the hospital after 3 months and got home on Thursday with an ileostomy. Got my colons finally taken out. It's tough. I'm just in the healing phase of it, but with positivity and meditation and yoga and all that, I'm in a good place. Looking forward to the future.
You look good. You look good.
Thank you.
Sleeping in your own bed is the best part.
Yes.
Okay, so Omar, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Omar Ahmed, and I have a J pouch. I had pouchitis, and I'm on Entyvio. And my wife kind of likes to join these. I'm trying to get more involved. I'm going to the thing on the weekend, so I'll see you guys there.
Yeah.
I mean, I always want to say lots of love and joy to all of you as we participate in this journey together, and even to the caregivers who have to sort of listen to us when we're going through these tough times, and even like when we're having times of anxiety or whatever. And I mean, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is that all of us as humans have different forms of adversity and challenges. This is something we got to deal with. Let's just try to, technology is growing. Medicine is evolving daily. These new drugs these biologics have been able to help us. So, just try and take each day as it comes, be grateful, and just really just sending all my love to all of you guys.
Just one thing for Pam there. Sorry, Pam, if you ever want to talk to someone that's rocking the bag, reach out.
Yeah, Kevin, you're the person I wanted to connect her with actually.
And I also have two other people on the 14th South who would like to connect as well, that they just got an ileostomy, and I think they're online as well.
Kevin, can I give her your contact? I was going to reach out to you to exchange information. You okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Pam, that's the person I was going to connect you with. Okay.
Alrighty,
perfect. I'll do that.
Thank you, Melody.
Okay. I think Brenda's muted, so I don't think she'll be calling on anybody. I think she's frozen. I'm not sure if anybody else wants to go. I'm looking at names here. I don't want to call anybody out if you don't want to go. We're done? Okay.
I think, well, I'm looking on the second page. There are a couple of people I don't know. Maybe Aaron?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Since I spoke up earlier. I'm Aaron. I was diagnosed with colitis in '99. and kind of like got that under control, was pretty good for 10 years. And then I had a flare up that like, that chased me down like a Mack truck. And anyway, got that under control with Remicade eventually. And I have been on Remicade ever since and have not had a flare up since. I've been very, very lucky. So this news about the biosimilars, I was very interested and curious about that for this session. It's really relevant, I know, to a lot of us, but I got very nervous when I saw the emails about that because I've been so lucky. I'm from Newfoundland originally. I've lived in Toronto for 15 years, and I had to go home because I wasn't getting the care I needed in Toronto when I had that bad flare up in 2009. But when I came back here, I was transferred over to Dr. Steinhardt at Mount Sinai, and that's how I learned about this group. And I went to the regular like in-session group, or like in-person. I think that one is monthly, or it used to be anyway, like where we all sit around a circle. That support group, the daytime one. And it was hugely, hugely helpful to me. Like, and someone raised this earlier, like, what do you do on a bad day? And Omar had such good answers. And, you know, I think the emotional part is the hardest. And I had no one in my family had this. Nobody knew how to talk about it or understand it. And the support group was a real, like, it really helped me so much. So I want to say thank you. And I think Brenda's just the best. Brenda, I hope you're back. I see you smiling. Okay.
I'm back after 3 years in COVID clinic. Yes.
I just think the world of you. You've been there all through all of this, and I love seeing your face, and I'm glad that you're still there. And now my good news, which I'll share with everyone, but especially with Brenda, is that I just got married. Finally.
Wow. Wow.
And
finally.
Well, you know, because all of this happened also, like the big flare up happened when I was 30 years old. And like, that's in the middle of the dating years, right? Or like, I wasn't partnered up then. So kind of really like threw a monkey wrench in that whole thing. But I've got a sweetheart now, and who's just the best. And he's sitting over there, does not want to come on camera, but is my support person. And
that's awesome.
I invited him to sit in on this because I know from you guys how important your partners are to you. And I'm glad that Jeff will be along the ride with me.
Yeah, Wendy's Kevin's bonded person. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. He's a lucky man.
Thanks, Brenda.
I tell my husband that every day too. So there you go. That's great. It's good to see you.
Ashley, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 2021. I found out about my Crohn's when I started working at Sinai. So I actually work for Dr. Trigonik. I'm her research assistant. And through her work, I realized, wait, my symptoms really are IBD related. And that first colonoscopy showed Crohn's. And then shortly after my diagnosis, I had my first ileocolic resection, and Brenda and I connected at Zane Cohen Center, and she was kind enough to, open this support group in this world that's kind of been virtual and in person over the last couple of years. So I'm really looking forward to connecting more and learning about the community beyond the work that I do, but also on a patient level and a community-based level.
Great.
That's great.
And Melissa?
Melissa is Hardin. Sorry, Melissa is Hardin. Melissa is one of our genetic counselors, but that's Hardin's alter ego here. But Hardin is my data manager and IT guy.
Oh, right. I remember that at the beginning. What about Carol?
Carol, are you there? Okay.
Hi there, I'm here. Yes. Yes, what shall I say? I've had ulcerative colitis for, oh boy, about 30 years now. And I guess for me, fortunately, it's just controlled by Entyvio for the past, since 2018. I started taking Entyvio, and it's controlled by that right now, and I'm doing well.
Great.
Thank you.
Jagler?
That's great. Jag?
Oh. My name is Harpal, and Jackar is actually my father, but yeah, I'm the one who has Crohn's.
Hi, Harpal.
I've been diagnosed since 2008. I've been on Remicade since 2010 or 2011. And the Remicade worked pretty well. It's just the last, I guess, couple of years, it seems like it's not working as well. So the doctors are kind of recommending to do, I guess, it's the ileostomy, the pouch on the outside. So we're kind of unsure or, you know, when to do it exactly or not, kind of thing. Yeah. Is there anything to? I guess, yeah, that,
How can we help you, Harpal?
I don't know, I guess about the pouch kind of thing, like the I don't know, like just unsure about the how, like, you know, that the whole procedure, and like I guess like yeah, after you get the procedure, how things are.
Harpal, did I buddy you with somebody? I think I did, right?
With Isaac. You know, we've talked a few times, kind of thing, but I don't know. I guess like maybe like other people,
Yeah.
this and
Yeah.
I don't know what they want to say.
Kevin might want to share. He's had a journey.
Yeah, Brent, I could
Go
hardly
on, put you
hear.
on
I'm
the
not
spot,
sure
Kev.
if it's pouch, if it's the post procedure as well. Happy if you want to share my information, I can buddy as well if you want.
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be great, kind of thing.
Brenda, is it possible to have Luxin send us all her notes on tonight?
Yeah, I can get her slides, and we're going to have the video posted to the Zanko and website page tomorrow.
Great.
According to Hardin, so I trust him. But he can edit it too, yeah. Make sure everything's correct.
Well, thank you for organizing us. It's really worth doing.
No, I need a primer. I need Tylene to teach me, because this is what happens when you spend 3 years swabbing people.
That's really good.
Okay, and I think Carol's our last person on the phone there. Carol, you want to say hi? Okay, I think Carol's not answering yet.
Hi, is this Carol? Carol,
No, the other Carol, there's a phone number one at the bottom, that's Carol as well. A different Carol. Carol P as opposed to Carol B. Okay. All right, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about or ideas? Okay, because we'll send out the feedback form tomorrow. Write down, like, survey things, write down whatever you want for planning, because Sabine and I and the team want to get things organized starting for September, and God willing, we'll be meeting in person. Not sure about food yet, but hopefully meeting in person. We have done two of our daytime groups back to back in April and May in person. We're masked with water bottles, but no food. So we're getting there. this is our new normal for now. So if anybody's got anything else, otherwise I think we can say ta-ta for the night. I want to thank you guys all for chairing the meetings, helping out. I've got the best steering group in the place, so. And Tylene's just made a point that we'll just go over housekeeping for next one to make sure how to raise hands, all that sort of stuff. All right, we good? All right, guys. All right, good night, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care. All right,
Bye.
so everything will be posted tomorrow and we'll get the slides. Okay, guys, thank you. Bye.
Bye.